Quoc, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Wyatt. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. You are the first international guest on the pod.
I feel privileged. I feel privileged.
Yeah, I think all of us Americans have such an affinity to accents, especially the Aussie accent. So I think I'm privileged to have you on. Very grateful. I think your accent alone will keep people listening, and the story just to build on it is awesome as well. So very excited for this one. You are the co-founder and United States lead, I imagine, of Preezie, e-commerce AI startup, and very excited to learn more about the product and what you're doing and your journey. So just to start, give the audience kind of a picture of where you started and how Preezie came about.
Yeah, so I'm co-founder of Prezi. We're headquarters is based in Melbourne, Australia. We launched just pre-COVID, so been running around for 5 or 6 years now. And I've been based in the US for almost 2.5 years. Launching and expanding our product here in North America, based in Denver, Colorado. So we've just pivoted our business to a pure AI a business. So think about ChatGPT for retailers sitting natively on their website, and we call it an AI shopping assistant. Where if you're on a certain brand, let's just say it might be Levi's looking for jeans, it's helping you, guiding you through, and finding what style you like, also helping you on sizing, and other accessories that might match. So it's a sales assistant that sits on a website 24/7. It's probably the smartest sales assistant you'll have that know all your products. And we use Gen AI tools like obviously the Chat GPTs and all these sort of open AI type models to be able to make it really interactive and conversational with the consumer audience.
Awesome. Yeah, this makes a lot of sense to me. I think a lot of businesses like to add AI to their product lineup without much rhyme or reason, just because the hot thing with e-commerce and shopping, if you think about the customer experience, how many clicks you have to get to actually get your product that you want, uh, less clicks is always better. You see less and less retention with more clicks. And so if you're clicking for sizes, you're clicking for colors, you're clicking for availability, you're losing customers over the long term, I would imagine. And if you have a tool that's kind of guiding you through a concierge, perhaps for the shopping experience, that makes a ton of sense to me. Starting at the beginning, obviously you said it's now you kind of pivoted to now the AI experience because these technologies have become so available. What did it start as?
So a bit of it was just our journey in our existing products. So we had, let's call them product quizzes, recommendation engines, that guide, we're in the same market. So our pivot hasn't changed in the sense of we've still got the same people, we've still got the same customer base, ICP, all those sorts of things. It was just how we're able to get that sort of that's getting that experience across. And as you said, Wyatt, we looked at our business, we saw technology moving at a fast pace. We're partners with Microsoft, and they invited us to their innovation hub back in Sydney, Australia. This well, 12, 14 months ago, and they really opened our eyes to where technology is headed. So we came out of that and just thought to ourselves, you know what, we can. If you use that whole phrase of Blockbuster, and people are used to VHS videos and coming into stores, but there's this new technology that's called streaming, and there's a business that's called Netflix that's coming out. We felt like this is the way the future's going, so we had to reinvent ourselves in a way where we took all the process and pretty much not ripped down the foundations, but we built a product on a clean slate, zero slate, not using any technology and building on top of that, which I know a lot of business and I know a lot of founders, like you said, Wyatt, they're putting the AI components. We've just gone, you know what, electricity's just been invented. How do we make our whole production plant based around, which is the Henry Ford type of philosophy, not just using electricity for here and there, it's the whole production plant. So that was a philosophy and ethos that my co-founder Michael and I had, and we sit here 14 months from that time and have a product that's launched and getting a lot of interest from retailers, both in Australia and the US. So it's exciting.
Absolutely. I want to know more about the Australian business experience. You've had experience in both now, and probably can compare them. What is it like pushing or starting a business in Australia, and then how is that translated over to the U.S. market?
It's damn tough. I won't lie to you. Why we back in Australia, we work with leading brands, all stock exchange listed retailers, the Targets of the world. But then translating, even working with Target Australia, translating that and getting Target US or global is not the same thing. Is that a lot of global businesses still work siloed, so it was tough. And we were fortunate enough, Wyatt, to have won some US brands. So we were working Guitar Center. We won that in Australia. Leading music retailer. We also won Dell computers, laptop business. And then we were able to use those two major brands to be able to wrap around some North American US customers. So that it is tough. We didn't have a stable of 20 household US brands. We did have a couple and were able to build around it. And the market as well. The Australian market's a lot smaller. The US is 15 times the size of Australia, and everything's all bigger. So there's a level of adaptation. And to be honest, two and a bit years in, I'm still trying to work it out and figure it out. Why, to be honest, so it's still a work in progress. I'm not going to tell you that I've nailed it. And any Aussie founders or overseas founders will go, "Quoc, what's the secret recipe?" I haven't quite got that.
Do you imagine it's easier to get into the American market or the Chinese market? Because I know Australia and China are very paired in business, at least in mining.
Yeah, I wouldn't even contemplate going into the Chinese market. It's just, we've actually looked at it and we've gone, that's a big market. There's a huge consumer market, but there's too many booby traps and too many mine traps. You know what? We know the Australian market. We know US is a larger market of Australia. We know how to speak. And so that's the market that we want. And look, for us in terms of global expansion, it's natural to sort of nail it in the US. US is the largest e-commerce market in the world, right?
Yeah, we consume.
Um, yeah, there is a lot of consuming, and then for us, it's heading over to Europe. We've got we've got customers in the EU, UK, etc. But then sort of taking that offering and just nailing it there as well. And it's you got to land and expand in a way that is that you can sort of control.
Yeah, makes sense. I I mean, I don't think most Americans know much about Australia. I don't think most of them even know that it's size-wise as big as the United States, and then population, it's about what the Los Angeles metro area is. I think it's just
Yeah,
like
I think so. I think so. It's about 30 mil or something like that.
yeah, I think the LA, maybe the LA metro area isn't 30. I think California has 40, so it's a bit bigger than LA, but it's
Yeah.
just like five cities around the coast. I
Pretty much. It's the population. It's yeah. The East Coast is I think something like 90% of the population live and work on the East Coast, and then you've got the rest of Australia and outback and all this sort of stuff that is a lot of land, but not as populated.
and you got Perth, the most isolated city in the world.
Yeah, it's I think it's 4 hours. It's akin to flying from East Coast to West Coast in the States.
Yeah.
It's going from Sydney to Perth.
That's a long travel day from the United States to Perth. For whatever reason, I've been to Perth twice. I think it's quite random, but my wife, I think we had talked about this. Her dad works for Chevron, and so they shipped him out to Perth once, and they lived there for 5 years. And so I've been there twice now, visiting her friends that are still there, and it's a beautiful place. It's just so isolated. So we just went to the Gold Coast. I still have not been to Melbourne, and such a different experience. So much more metro in terms of population and city structure, and I could definitely see us living there. It's just I like Denver. I I think if I was you, I would have the other co-founder move here, and I would stay in Australia.
uh, well, I make frequent trips back to Australia because there's my team there is conferences and things like that. So, I do, but this is the part where it's experience for us, right? And we don't. There's Colorado. There is nowhere in Australia that has the mountain ranges like the Rockies here. So
Right.
there is. You're right. Why these? All of that sort of stuff. But look, this is the thing as well. I'm the States has so many different parts, right? I've
Yes.
still not been down to the South, and even parts of the Midwest. Haven't even made my way across to Chicago yet, Wyatt. So there's still a lot of cities that I need to explore, and people are going, "Clock, you need to see these." So I'm going to make the most of it while I'm in North America.
Absolutely. I'm 30 years old, spent 29 of that in America, and I've never been to Chicago either.
Okay, all right. So there we go. There's a lot to explore within your own backyard
That's
and
one of
for
the
me,
only,
just admit.
oh, sorry. I think that's one of the only big cities I haven't been to in the United States for whatever reason. I think there is a tourist draw to it. They have an amazing St. Patrick's Day celebration. They dye the whole river green, and they got the bean, and I don't know. I think I need to make a trip out there. How did you decide to be the one that moved here and not the other co-founder? Is he more the technical guy, or how was that decision decided?
Yeah, it was originally rock paper scissors. No, it's
I believe
uh,
it. That's the Aussie
it was.
way.
It was yeah, and he lost so many times that we just had to read. But look, we both had a level of interest to move the states. I mean, it's an exciting thing to do. Um, he's more product and engineering tech focus. We have our team back in Australia that is there. So it was logical that he was close to the developers, to the product team, to build out what it is. And my skills wide is more business development. I have an M&A, investment banking background as well, and
Mm,
raising capital is certainly part of our journey. We've done angel rounds, seed rounds, and an A round and whatnot. And talking to US investors is certainly something I do on a regular basis. So it just made logical sense to conquer and divide in that way. But having said that, he comes across. We had a conference in Las Vegas called Shop Talk, which is the largest e-commerce conference in, I think, North America, might even be the world, right? Um, and he came across for that, and highly successful, just talking to a lot of retailers and brands. So there is a level where we do a lot of travel. It's just what we need to do as a global business. But yeah, it's more skill set wise.
yeah, makes sense.
To
Was
divide and
your
conquer.
business before Preezie or your job before Preezie International, or were you focused in the Australian M&A market?
Yeah, so it's just the Australian M&A market, more SMB, 20 to $50 million type of enterprise value type businesses, very nichey. But yeah, that's that finance back. So I'm the CFO of the business. I pretty much, control the purse strings and ensure my co-founder Michael doesn't go crazy spending and hiring too many devs and all of that sort of stuff. But their skill sets that I think, look, we complement each other from two co-founder perspective. Someone's got a business and finance type of skill set. He's got the product and engineering mindset. And you often see founders why that has just one or the other, right? When you can blend those two, like we feel as though we you know, at least be able to control our business in the pace that we go to, in an orderly way. And you know, these days, especially with investors going, you know, you need to be looking at being profitable and gearing towards not that grow at all cost mentality. What we've got, the model that we've got, kind of works and aligns with at least investment philosophy more now than it was, say, 5 years ago.
Yeah, I definitely want to get to that funding conversation, but sticking with you for now, the entrepreneurship, founding a company, was that always something in your future? Did you always think that you wanted to do that, or was it a beer at the pub where you're like, we should do this? How did that kind of take? This is a big risk, starting a
Yeah.
company is a big risk. It's hard. It's going to be hard on your family, and you know that going into it. How did that begin?
To be honest, I've always had that entrepreneurial flame in me. And in my you just normal work, I was CFO of a business that was owned by private equity, got bought out, did M&A deals, was effectively an executive VP, and within what I did, I kind of hit my heights. And I thought this is great, and what's the next step? And to be honest with you, what I fell into meeting my co-founder Michael. It was over another little business venture I had on the side, just with some friends, and we were doing some work, and we needed some engineering talent, and I got introduced, and it's as simple as having a beer and eating a pizza and just chewing the fat, and he was sharing me with his ideas and thoughts. I mean, we've got an internal joke where we talk to people, and we say that Michael, my co-founder, is the brains and I'm the good looks. So you know what, if I can bring that to the equation, just the good looks of the of the partnership, I'm happy. But yeah, no, it was his inception, his idea. He knows technology, he knows retail, he knows e-commerce, and he, over a beer and a pizza, basically shared that vision. And I was at the stage of my life where I thought, you know what, I can add something to this, and let's do it. 6 years on, and we're got offices in Melbourne, US, and expanding with a product that we hope is an AI product that will take us to that next level, and $100 million revs type of business.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think like 60% of businesses don't make it past 5 years. So you're past the that threshold, and it's only like 10% that get to 10, or maybe it's 10% that get to a million revenue. But these benchmarks are just so hard to hit. Growing a business is so difficult, and you hear that, but you don't know it until you try it. And if you're an employee at a certain company forever, or, your whole career you've been an employee, you just don't know the perils and the difficulty of starting a business, and then you get into it, and there's just so much to it. And I think a career in M&A probably makes a lot of sense, having a background in finance, but also being able to do business development. Yeah, I mean, that meshes quite well with all the challenges that come with growing something. In terms of funding, so a lot of startups are looking for funding. They want to raise, they want money. You need money to survive, and so you at least want to pay yourself a salary of some sort. So if you don't have self-funding, then you're in trouble. Or if you don't have a runway of at least 18 months, you're in trouble. How did you decide to get funding? Who did you go to for funding? And how has the decision affected the direction of the business, if at all?
Yeah, I mean, initially it's just family and friends, right? Family, friends, fools, all of that sort of stuff, and that's probably the initial thing. And look, I was fortunate enough to have some capital put away through my investment banking days. And that was an initial injection just for let's just call it two co-founders trying to build a dream. And then from there, it was just building a product. And once we got product out, it was just hustle. And then when you get angel investors, what you don't really, you might have a couple of products, it might be pre-revs, but there are angel investors there that That as long as they like you, they like, the way you talk, the way, your vision, your business, because that's what it is. There is no, and so that level of angel funding, and we got that. And then there's the next level of seed, sort of just taking that to some sophisticated investors. There are a lot of seed investors out there that will back it, at that sort of just revenue ramp up stage. So we got that as well, and then we got what we call our Series A round, and we got that from Australia. So it was, obviously within, we knew the market. We were able to demonstrate that we were one of the market leaders in what we did, and then we got a Series A round, which has lasted us, and it was about 3 years ago to where we sit now because we've just been able to manage the business well, but with our new product, why we are going out to market, the second half of this year and sort of, going out and doing a serious raise to be able to really ramp up the growth that we're experiencing.
What is the process of in raising? Is that skill is that a skill you develop of presenting and selling your company? Is that different than selling the product when you're trying to sell to investors? Do you approach that problem different than you would, approaching potential retailers, or is it fairly similar?
It's a similar skill set. So, selling a product or selling your business, you've got to have that level to succinctly, people talk about an elevator pitch. So if you can't do that, within 30 seconds or within 3 minutes, then you're gone. You've lost them, even in selling a product, right? So if anything, it's probably with investors, you got to get to the point a lot quicker. So, demo or a pitch to a retailer or a prospect, you've at least got half an hour to get through, and they'll give you that time with investors. They could be saying, yeah, we've heard enough within 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So it's the same sort of skills, but you really just got to know your points a lot quicker. And what I've also found is, particularly in the US, you need to come across a lot more brazen, a lot more confident. Um, and that you don't need to from a product perspective, because if you're selling a good product, you don't have to be that. But from a raising perspective, if you can't convey that you are going to be the next unicorn or $10 billion business, and give the investor that level of confidence, then it's going to be harder.
And your experience with U.S. investors, have you kind of focused in Denver investor market? Have you, went to Silicon Valley, or where are these firms
It's
located
across
that
the
you're kind of?
board. It's
Yeah.
across the board, Wyatt. Yeah. So, talking to some peeps in the Bay Area, Seattle, New York, and locally here in Colorado as well. There are a number of good VC firms here. It's just an alignment of our product to the market. And obviously software as a service, they
Yeah.
need to know the SaaS space well. So it's spread across the board.
You talked about a elevator pitch. Would you be able to provide an elevator pitch for Preezie as you would to an investor?
In terms of well, yeah, all right, I'll give it a go. I'll put me on the spot, but you know what? I'll do an elevator pitch. So, Preezie is software as a service. We've got Gen AI technology to help retailers to effectively help their consumers on their website. So, ChatGPT, all the general knowledge, products, consumers. And be able to help their consumers engage and convert at a higher rate. Um, and that, that technology we built in conjunction with Microsoft. So we're the best technology for this AI shopping assistant that we've seen in the world at the moment. And we're out to raise capital to be able to be the market leader in this space, which we see this as being the future of e-commerce.
Sold. I'm in.
All right, get your checkbook out.
I heard Gen AI and I heard future of e-commerce.
That was it. That was it. That was it. It's But that's about as on the spot 30-second. Well, probably went for about 45
No,
second
it was
pitch.
good. It's all good. I'll put it together and I'll cut out the ums and ahs and it'll sound great.
The beauty of editing, Wyatt. The beauty of editing.
Yes, and it does it for you. You just press ums and ahs. I'll finish these podcasts and it'll say, give you an option to do AI producer, and it'll say, cut out ums and ahs. It's 6.5 minutes of ums and ahs content that you can just cut out. But it makes the podcast a little choppy, so I only do it for the clips. I had one guest that was, yeah, it's a little too choppy. He's jumping around, and so I've stopped doing that for the whole podcast. But it'll be like 6 to 9 minutes of ums and ahs across an hour of content. It's like,
Wow,
yeah.
that is a lot. There's a lot. Well, you need to tell me how many minutes of ums and ahs that I do if you run that through that same process.
I will. Yeah, I'll start ranking them with guests.
Hmm.
The raising capital, you're kind of going to be more aggressive about it with the current product alignment or current pivot. Why is that? Is that for business development, getting out there? Is that because the product development is going to take more engineering firepower? What about your current? Is it just the timing is right? You need to hit it the iron while it's hot. What is it about the current timing, current product, current market where you are feeling a little more aggressive about raising potentially in the near future?
Bottom line, why speed to market, right? Speed to market. We know who our competitors are, and it's not tooting my own horn, our own horn, but we're far better than what's out in market. We know that there will be others that will come to market, big brands, right? Big and small brands, because it is a hot space, right? I think retailers and e-commerce, e-commerce businesses are knowing that, there is this technology. The difference is where they are with the cycle. Some business we're talking to are still kicking the tires, sort of working it out. Others are like, we need this today. So we know that we've got probably 18 months, Wyatt, to just crush it. And crush it means marketing, going to events, doing SEM type of, performance marketing type of thing. So that's the primary, to push the message out and to win as many customers as we can, and at the same time feed that into product and development. Right, we've got a roadmap that is so aggressive that is talking. With our widget, you can talk to it in terms of voice. Being able to really, this is next gen stuff where you've got, we see a vision in a world where the AI there will be AI agents that talk to AI agents to just get the shopping done for you. It's miles. It's not miles. It's a fair bit away, but um, it's sort of that roadmap strategy that we've got. If we can nail it, just a singular retail brand, how do we then cross pollinate that with 100, 1,000 retail brands that have that same sort of thing? So it's a vision of ours, but if we can nail and get that right, then we'll be market leaders in this space for years to come.
I really like that future you're describing. I think it is a very interesting thought experiment for the future of shopping online. I want you to describe it like you did in our previous call of agents talking to each other and something shows up. So, what is the future of online shopping?
The future of online shop is Quoc. He's needing let's just say he's got a party to go to, right? Needs a new pair of jeans, needs a new shirt, just wants to look the part. May or may not be themed, it doesn't matter. And Quoc just talks to his agent, let's call it shopping agent, and says, tells the agent he's got certain brands that he likes. Could be Diesel, it could be Levi's. Go out, find that. The agent knows Quoc's size, right? Because he knows Quoc's profile, and then does the shopping, right? Then might talk to the Levi's or the Diesel jeans agents, right? These are the parameters. Gets the pricing, gets all of that, gives Quoc the options, right, in a very succinct way. You're going to pay $79 or whatever it is, and this is what it looks like. This is when you can get it shipped. And Quoc just says, "Yep, I'll buy two of those, or I'll buy this." gets the shirt, the shoes, and then it just arrives on Quoc's doorstep, in the next day or the next 3 days, depending on when the shipping is. And Quoc doesn't have to do anything, doesn't need any tryouts, and there's no transaction because the agent knows Quoc's, MasterCard details and all that sort of stuff. That is the future of online shopping. It doesn't. There is a world where I think someone's asked me, like, you know, like I want to go to the shops. That's fine. Going to the shops, going to the mall, Cherry Creek, whatever. People still, and there will still be a world where that is people will enjoy that. But there will also be a world where we're so busy that we're not going to go on and trawl through websites. So, having that shopping assistant agent then talks to those brands or talks to the other agents and just gets it done. That's the future of online shopping.
So the current online shopping model is for lucky men. Is that all happens, but it's not an AI agent, it's your wife.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. There's a version where yours and mine just are kind enough to help us buy the socks and all these sorts of things, and they know your size. So this will be, yeah, this will be a machine. This will be an AI a bot that will do it for us.
For all the single men out there, I think I don't think I've shopped in years. It's just clothes show. I didn't buy this. I didn't buy this. it just shows up. Try this on. Great. I'll try it on. Half of the stuff gets sent back, and she, no, I don't like that. Take it off. We're gonna send it
But
back.
the thing is, your wife knows your style, same as mine. And there's a level where they're influencing it down a certain path as well. We're like, hang on a minute. But yeah, no, you're right. There is a level where we know it works. In real life, there is a part of it automating and getting that to an AI format, and it'll be. I don't think it'll be creepy at all because it's one of those things where, and personal data privacy, it's a big thing, Wyatt, right? There will be a world where you can control all of that, right? Your little shopping assistant will only know your profile. Will it share with others? Who'll have to. So there will be a world where people are comfortable with this. And it just comes down to convenience, right? So what we're building now is just it's convenient, it's efficient. You go onto a website, you don't actually have to leave the home page. You can shop all within our little AI shopping assistant. You can add the cart from there, you can browse, you can compare, you can do a whole lot of things that, to be honest, without AI, it can't be done. It
Mm.
just cannot be done.
How does the AI react when you tell them you've been eating a little more than usual and you need to go a size up?
The AI is very friendly. It's you can believe it or not, you can sort of create its tone of voice, and if you want it to be, hey, you got to go out and hit the gym, you can create that tone of voice. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty compassionate to your to to your needs and requirements.
Quoc, I've noticed you've been in the United States for a few months. Should we size up your options?
Yeah, I know. It's probably going to then offer me gym memberships and stuff like that, and strong recommendations. No doubt about it.
Quack, have you tried the 14ers in Colorado? Have you tried the Manitow Incline? I think it's time to get outside.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. That's it. And, hey, but they would be great things. So if it's showing me all these hikes that I can do, and then telling me if I do one of those, then I'd be able to shed so many calories. That would be great. That would be great.
That's another product development to hire, though. You don't want to do that.
You're onto something, why it could be the personal shopping assistant that has works with the personal trainer to then be able to go align the two, and it knows that all of a sudden you've gone from a 32-inch waist to a 34. It's like we need to get the personal trainer assistant that is AI powered to be able to pushing you to these at least these activities and these exercises.
See, that's where the data becomes the value as opposed to the product, because you would sell that data to the personal trainers and it's like, this person's going up, they might be a prime target for personal training services, but
Hmm.
then you're towing the line on privacy and it's like, ooh, maybe maybe that's the shopper is suddenly seeing all these personal training ads like, wait a second, what's going on?
Yeah, I
But
mean, you'd be surprised how much personal data is actually being absorbed or retailers knowing, right? There is a world now where it's allowing users to, obviously, allow or not allow, and there is some certain controls, which is great, but there's still a lot of personal data that's being that retailers know about their shoppers.
yeah. Are the retailers interested or trying or talking about building this type of product in house? And if so, why is it better to use Prezi as opposed to trying to build something in house?
That's a great question. Why? It's the whole build versus buy, chat, right? We had it with our old product. We've got it now. I mean, particularly with AI, there are some businesses that they want all these training models and all this, and that's great, right? But I think when they start to build it, they'll realize that they'll have to invest a ton of money. We're talking millions of dollars if you want to do it to that level. And then it's akin to, okay, well, do I work with a tech provider that does this day in day out, right? And we work with businesses that have budgets that their market caps are in the billions of dollars.
Mm.
So they've got the ability to do that. It's the whole build versus buy. And there's some business that will build this, but they'll realize that there'll be limitations, and they've got to put a team to it. And next thing you know, it's like, well, if we bought this, it'll cost might be the same or cheaper, but over the long run, this is the whole thing. Technology companies, we will have a roadmap that will be aggressive, aggressive, aggressive. By the time they've built version one, we're on to 3.2. And we have voice, we have a whole bunch of stuff, and they're like, oh, okay, and then they'll have to invest. And we've even had instances where they've gone, we've tried this, we've just decided to stop. Right,
Yeah.
we are experts in selling laptops, or we're experts in selling whatever, right? Let's just keep turning. It's the whole thing. I mean, if you have the budget to build a car, why would you? You just go out and buy a Tesla or a Ford, or a Ferrari. People have built that before, and they build it really well.
Yeah, you stick to what you're good at. You sell clothes, you don't build AI
Yeah, that's
products.
it. That's right. And you sell a lot of clothes, and you're very good at it, right? I'm sure you've got the budget to do something like this, but do you really want to?
Yeah. I think one of the clients I used to hire for was Walmart in Silicon Valley, and they have their e-commerce division in Silicon Valley. They're headquartered in the Midwest, but their e-commerce is in Silicon Valley. They're probably one of the few retailers that is going to be attempting to build this themselves if it's not already operational. I haven't looked into their AI options.
Yeah, and it makes sense, right? The Walmarts, the Amazons, we're not looking at them going, "Hey, can we win them?" Because they've got that e-commerce offering. It's almost part of their businesses. We call it marketplaces or whatever. So it makes sense that they do it themselves.
So how does the pitch to retailers differ? And then as you gain customers, is the implementation different per customer? Is it a pretty seamless implementation? How it
Mm.
can, like, how fast from signing a deal to customers using the product on their platform?
Yeah. So the pitch to retailers is quite simple, right? One, it's cutting edge AI technology. Two, it's from a customer experience perspective, it's seamless, it's effortless. And what that brings is increase in conversion. So we increase conversions for the brands that are using ours. We double their conversions. So somebody who goes in, engages with our AI shopping assistant bot, let's call it, they're twice as likely to convert. Um, And on top of that, you get transcripts, so you know what your shoppers are asking. You know where there might be bottlenecks. Maybe some product description things that are wrong. So they're pretty much the pitch to the retailers. And the last part of it is we tell retailers we've kept this wide, and this is kind of we're in the same business, but we think ourselves as second time founders only because AI is just a brand new product and brand new type of business. We've kept the commercial models just straightforward. No contracts, no lock-in contracts, no onboarding fee. We've pretty much gone, you want to use cutting edge AI technology to take you to the next level, then there's no risk. Try it. If you don't like it, hand back the keys to the car. So we've kept that straightforward. From an onboarding perspective, that's a good question. What we've done is because, how I told you, we've taken the Henry Ford electricity and we're building a whole production plant based around electricity. We've done the same with our onboarding and in our products. So we've built AI agents to onboard our AI shopping assistant. So there is a bit of
Where it begins.
inception. There's a bit of inception going on, but all we need is the business, the company URL. I used to call it Walmart.com, and your product feed, and the AI goes off. It knows the shipping policies. It knows your tone of voice. It knows your products. Knows all of that, configures it to a point where 90% of the onboarding is done by AI. And then there's human interaction to go, you know what? No, we don't talk to our customers in that way. Or, we want to tweak some of these prompt rules and all this sort of stuff. So that's the beauty of going and thinking. And look, what if the founders that listen to your podcast, I would say to you, I would encourage them to go, okay, don't just sprinkle a bit of AI on, right? And it is a very hard decision, Wyatt, to go, you know what we've got, how do we sort of start from scratch? Because sometimes with what you've got, there's time, there's time level of it. There's already generating XYZ revenue from it. It's a really hard thing to do. But if you don't, there's a level where, Blockbuster was great. They were a big business, and there was a huge demand for it. If you don't move with the times, how long will and it's case by case. It's for their business, for their technology, for their industry. But that's the kind of mindset that we had to be able to go, you know what, we don't want to be a Blockbuster. We've got a really good business. How do we take Netflix and that streaming service to the next level for what we do?
The, the Blockbuster analogy is so real, but they did build the product. They built it in house, and it was working. They almost had Netflix. That documentary is
Well, they
pretty
could have bought Netflix. That's
that
the
too.
that's
Yeah,
the irony. It's like, hey, and
they were close. They
they
were
were
close.
close, and call it egos, call it whatever. They just just couldn't nail it. And we now know where history lies.
Yeah,
I think actually there's one Blockbuster store left
in
in
Fairbanks,
somewhere in
Alaska, I
America.
think. Yeah,
Yes, somewhere in America there is still one Blockbuster store. So the name's still out there.
the data. So, is your vision always going to be Preezie to be kind of hidden behind the brand, or could people go to Preezie and say, is the data saved, with the customer? Is the data saved with Preezie? And then are you thinking about recommending other Preezie customers to your uh, customers that use, or any shopper that uses Preezie, if you're saving the data yourself?
Yeah. So at the moment, it's within the Prezi platform, and if you're a retailer, let's call it Guitar Center, right? Your Guitar Center, you're privy to all of the data there. Um, what we as a business are doing is obviously, compiling 10, 20, 100,000 retail customers to be able to optimize what we're building, right? And everyone benefits from that. But there is a world and a vision where if we've got 1,000 retail brands in the US, there is a part of it where, like, our view is, why not shop across multiple brands, get that synergy. So how that works, right now it's kind of like a marketplace of
Mm-hmm.
things. So we might have a Prezi portal that Go, what are you looking for? And it's kind of our AI shopping assistant, and within those brands are all our customers that use it, right? And that would be super powerful. And if we got to that level, then I'd be inviting you to my yacht. That's
Yeah.
that will be and I'll actually get you on the get you on my private jet to the Mediterranean. So if we get to that, you can hold me to this. You can go, Quoc. I'm going to show you a podcast.
We've got it on film.
And we got it on film. That going down the French Riviera or go to the Mediterranean on your yacht was the thing to do. But it's creating that vision. And if it's not us, someone will do it. Right? Someone will do it. We've just got a strong foundation and a belief that we can be that business that creates that vision.
Yeah, I mean, I think Amazon is probably working on something for Amazon. It's probably near production, if not close or in production.
Oh,
And
they've got an AI shopping assistant tool
yeah.
within Amazon. It's okay.
And it's only for Amazon-based businesses. So if
Correct.
you can be,
Correct.
that platform for retailers that aren't necessarily selling on Amazon. They're not all selling on Amazon. You can buy most things, but yeah, the roadmap is exciting. There's a lot of possibilities there. It's always great to, not really have a ceiling in sight. That's exciting. Let's talk go to market. So, go to market is one of the challenges that startups face. You can have this amazing idea, you can have this amazing product, but if no one knows about it, it goes nowhere. Or, if no one wants to use it, obviously it would go nowhere as well. But sounds like you have something. 50% improvement in conversion rate is enormous, and so it sounds like the product's kind of selling itself. How is your go to market strategy different than maybe what it was before AI, or what is your current go-to-market strategy?
Yeah, look, we find because I built the business on our other product, and then I'm selling our business almost from zero customers to the first 10, 20. Right? It is chalk and cheese between the A, it's because it's AI. B is because what it can do and how easy it is can be to be implemented, right? Our other product required a bit of manual labor to onboard, etc., etc. So it's chalk and cheese, and the beauty of that is to be able to sell this to retailers and get a lot of traction very quickly. So the key is for us, what we're sort of seeing is, we need to go to events. You need to be attending conferences, small booth, at least small booth or some exposure is to start off with. Then, if we had budget, and this is where we're going to do the raise. We want to, be spending 100, $200,000 on a booth and stand that has AI shopping assistant. All these sorts of things, and that's critical. So it's events. It's going to as many as we can. It's building a sales team. All right, it's building a sales team to do that. We're already starting to get inbound inquiries, Wyatt, through our, let's just call it limited budget, in terms of what we're doing, and doing those. So it's attending events, ideally doing speaking engagements, all right, getting our expertise out there that we're AI experts in our field and what we do. And the other part is just marketing, right? You know, hiring a marketing team that knows how to do performance marketing, Google ads, LinkedIn ads, socials, etc., etc. And I don't think that's going to change. It's being able to just deliver that at scale. And doing that at scale requires a team, it requires a budget, etc., etc. And we know what we need to do. There's a part of it going, we'll do it on a bit of a smell of an oily rag at the moment to be able to build out the momentum and traction. I'm sure we'll go out and get a good investment round, 10, 20, $30 million from an investor. Go, wow, we know, we back you on what you can do. And here is the check to be able to accelerate that. So we know what we need to do. It's just some stepping stones to get there.
Who needs to hear your message to buy your product? Is it a marketing officer? Is it the CEO? Is it the product manager? Who are you trying to talk to at each of these
Yeah.
retailers?
It's the people who control the website. So e-commerce e-commerce, head of e-commerce, e-commerce manager, digital, head of digital, that sort of thing. And then there's a level of CMO-ness, chief marketing officer, people who, obviously, you know, they're not controlling the website, but they've got a lot of pull and say in terms of how do we market ourselves and how do we get our message so that we can sell more. So they're the types of people. And then more recently, I've seen there's a number of roles that are called digital transformation, right? It's been around, but I've seen more of those titles and roles and speaking to those because how these people are looking at how they can ingest and utilize AI not only on their front-facing website, but back-end efficiencies and all this sort of stuff. So I'm speaking to these types of people as well, where they've got, oh, okay, wow, that's really cool in what you guys do, and it's really powerful. And front-facing, I'll dovetail in my digital team and all this sort of stuff. So it's anyone controlling the website because we are front-facing. The widget does sit on, your the fashion retailer's website, and consumers can engage with it.
Why do you think the in-person events are most effective? Is it because people need to see the product in action? Is it because the sales charm of Quoc Nguyen? What is it? What is the in-person events appeal over traditional, maybe
Yeah,
internet
I'd
online
love to
marketing?
say it's the charm of Quoc, but no, I think when people see when I open my phone and I go, let me show you how it works for a live customer, and they see what it can do. Like for example, one of the most powerful things, and this is I think what we've built. I think we've got the best search out there in the entire world. You go to any retail website. What I mean by that is you can search for five conditions, seven conditions, 10. I'm looking for, if I'm shopping for my wife, a blue summer dress under $200 in a size in this size, and then I can add some other conditions to it, and our search will nail it all day every day. It'll show you, the products that suits you. It could be running shoes. I'm a quite an intermediate runner. Da da da. I like Nikes. Da da da. I don't want to spend more, and it'll nail it. So that's when I show someone the power of search, and retailers know this search is a big thing. They know there's limitations on their own website. You put more than two things, shoes and Nike probably does the job. Anything more than that, it breaks. Can't help you, null, and that whole customer experience. So when I show them the power of our search, I had a guy at Shop Talk goes to me, Quoc, you had me at hello. It was what I showed him, and the rest is what it can do. So it's showing, and showing's a lot easier than telling.
Do you have like a reel or a TikTok that kind of walks through the quick little process that you've tried to make go viral or anything?
Yeah, we do. We do. We've got a quick snippet of video. I won't show it, but I can certainly send it to you, White, and you
Yeah,
can
I'll link
obviously
it.
tag it or something like that, or link it. Yeah, we do. We've got a very quick snippet on what our tool can do, and that's pretty much what I show people at these conferences. When you show them that they get it, they get the concept, and then they relate that to their product. So they might be selling tables or chairs, and then they're going, okay, all right, we know how cool. And then when I talk to them about commercials, which is one of those things where people rarely do, but we do because people think this is AI Quark. This is a big project, right? It's going to take weeks, months, all right, to do. When I tell them we can AI onboards it takes 90% and we can get you up and running in a day or two, you can see some of their faces going, I don't believe you, right? And then I just say, look, you know what? I'll send the link. You just need to give me A and B, and then we can go off to the races. That's the part where people are there's a misconception that AI is just hard, it's difficult, it's long. The reality is that if you build it right, like what I believe we've done, then it can be quick, easy, and seamless.
I imagine there's some technical challenge behind the scene, but obviously you kind of just throw your tech in their system and it's secure and doesn't have vulnerabilities and it can
Yeah.
be up and running in a day or two.
The big thing about AI is creating boundaries, right? So guardrails. We built it, right? And you got to remember, we don't use OpenAI. OpenAI, people are listening to this, oh, it is a bit cowboyish, right? We use Microsoft Azure OpenAI, which Microsoft themselves have put a layer of protection over the AI. For example, things like self-harm and all those sorts of things. Microsoft just don't allow. So there is a layer of that protection. And then there's another layer that we've built that go, you know what? If somebody goes, tell me where I can buy this same product at another competitor, it's not going to tell you to go shop at your competitors and get this price. So we've created rail guards, and you can control those rail guards as the retailer. So there's a lot of protection mechanisms that we've put in, because this is people are like, this is AI, it's going to hallucinate. Give this product to me for free, and otherwise I'll run in front of the road. All these sorts of things, and it's a real concern, but we also can be able to say, you know what, understand what you're saying. Let me show you how we can overcome that.
How big is that problem of hallucinations in your product development? It's definitely come up a lot with these AI startups pushing big numbers. There was a startup that I was actually recruiting for that was inflating their numbers based on a cancellation clause, and uh, customers were canceling because the product was hallucinating and it's not delivering on what they promised it would.
Yeah.
I'm not too aware of this. I use AI for simple questions and knowledge gathering, but in terms of building an AI product, how big is that problem? Is that something you guys have to deal with, or are you kind of not that involved in
I mean,
that aspect?
we're a bit at not the mercy, but like we use these large language learning models, right? And it could be ChatGPT, it could be Cloud, it could be whatever, Claude or whatever, right? And actually use different models for different intents.
Hmm.
So we're just not stuck on 4.0, chapter 2, 4.0 or 4.0 mini or whatever. So we do have that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's taking in general knowledge. And if there's enough people telling general knowledge that the world is, flat, not round, right? The reality is that people, whatever search, the world is all of a sudden flat, right? Where we know that's not true scientifically, but it,
Are you
if
sure?
there's enough people, you're still up. Hang on, Quoc. I thought the world was flat. Um, they're the LLMs, right? That can do it, and it can be, I wouldn't say manipulated, but people can throw in things, and all of a sudden, we're in a world where it's just not quite right. Having said that, these LLMs, they use a lot of intelligence to try and get that right. What we do say in our thing is, you know what, this is still AI, right? And it can generate responses and things that can be inaccurate. It's the word of AI. And that will improve. Why? That will improve. At the moment, our product, we have not seen any hallucination for our customers that's gone, that's just way twacky. But there's also, what we've also built is we get transcripts, and our customers go through them, but we're building a project where it can go there and it can pick up automatically. And when it does pick up something that is, let's call an anomaly, we've got the ability to change that prompt and get it fixed in like 10 seconds. So it's a work in progress, but it is certainly a challenge for AI companies. Um, and it's yeah, we're all working to the same tune.
Yeah, I think there's a product company in Boulder. You've probably seen them at a conference or two. They're called Free Play, and that's kind of what
Okay.
they do. They put all the LLMs next to each other, running the same prompt, and kind of map
Ah,
out what you actually want, and then choose which one's best for that use case. And then I think they track the performance of
I'm
it.
gonna
And
check that out. That sounds like a very cool product. What's it called? Free play.
Free Play, he's got a podcast too. You can jump.
Oh, okay.
You could jump on his. I am quite interested in them because one of their lead engineers studied the same major as me in at Cal Poly,
Mm.
and it's
I'm sorry.
kinesiology. We study all good. We study exercise science, and he's now a product engineer building this product. He's got a master's degree in like data science. Like, wow, you took a very different path. So I need to sit down with him and kind of talk about how he did that. But
That is cool. That is cool. All
yeah,
right.
we,
I
we
need to
started
check
in the
them out.
same place, and now he's a product engineer, and I'm in technical recruiting, and neither of us did anything about kinesiology, but we both are fit. we,
And you've been to Australia a number of times.
yes, yes. A lot of people are fit in Australia. The
Mm.
Gold Coast uh, culture is hilarious. People just walk around in workout clothes at all times.
I know, and it's I don't know. I'm trying to just try an analogy with the Gold Coast. Probably California.
Yeah, it's like Venice Beach.
Venice Beach, yeah, is probably the closest thing. But you're right, it's quite unique.
Yeah. I liked it though. I mean, when everyone is fit and outside and walking along the beach trail, that's just a great vibe. You know, that is a great place to walk in the morning and see hundreds of other people choosing the right decision in life. You know, it's like get outside, be fit. It's a good way
Yeah,
to go.
it is a
Uh,
good way to go. It's probably one of the reasons why I chose Colorado and Denver. It's just it's that culture. It's the mountains. You know, it's active lifestyle. It's fantastic. Whether you're skiing, running, biking, whatever, it's fantastic.
the infrastructure in Perth and on the Gold Coast for the coastal trails is just exactly the way it should be. Everyone, the public should own the coast. The public should be allowed to go up and down the coast for miles. And in Malibu, California, it's the opposite. The celebrities and the actors and the billionaires own the coast, and then you can go on the highway. And so, like the beach is
Really?
the beach is not public. And so there is
Mm.
a beach commission in California that try to prevent all that stuff. But just that those coastal trails are just amazing. Getting back to startups and building Preezie, what is your strategy for building culture, the right culture in your startup?
Yeah. Both my co-founder and I mean, we're different types of people, but the one common denominator is we like to empower our staff, right? We create a vision that's universally shared, but then it's just empowering us. They could be a lead, they could be just an individual contributor, whatever the case might be. But there's also, we foster that cross pollination. So marketing not only needs to speak to sales, but they need to product and tech. So we encourage cross collaboration, but we also empower our staff. And we've always said this. One of the things that we always say at our team meetings: there is no stupid question, right? Any question that people have got is a good question, and we discuss and raise that. We also are very transparent with our staff, right? We don't give them the nitty gritties of runway or anything like that, but we share with them the vision, the path where we go. And I think that's important because, particularly when we pivot our business, a lot of staff are going, "Well," and we had some people that leave, they didn't share the vision, and that's cool, right? But we gave them, hey, we need to do this. And a bit of it might be unknowns, right, in terms of where things are at. But we took them on the journey. We shared them with the vision rather than just keep it quiet, and we build it in the background. And all of a sudden, so it's that empowerment, it's that level, but also level of accountability, right? We make sure everyone's accountable for what they do. And we work in a hybrid working sort of place, where there's in office and a lot of working from home. Um, and we just trust our staff, right? And so empowering them, but making them accountable. And I think that's the kind of culture that we've built, Wyatt. And is it the right one? Who knows? Kind of works for us. We've been able to retain our good staff fairly well. But we're still a small business. I mean, when we start scaling to, getting to the 100, 200, 500 type people, the whether or not our that core knitting of cultures remains to be seen.
Do you think there's ever going to be a need to be 500 people with AI onboarding and a
Great
lot of
question. We don't, right? And part of our vision of the business is how can we create AI processes that, as we scale, we don't need to hire 10 onboarders, 30 onboarders, et cetera, et cetera. Even customer success, we're looking at it at that going, okay, how can we build it in a way where, there is obviously support and customer success, but how can we also AI automate that? And even sales, believe it or not, what way we're looking at ways going, can we, we're doing this. Can we have an AI salesperson ourselves that knows our products? And so we're thinking of all that. Like we will scale because there will still need to be people that, close deals and do all that sort of stuff, and marketing and all this. But particularly with onboarding, servicing, customer success. They're the types of roles traditional SaaSes just need to just add people, headcount,
Mhm.
to be able to scale. We're thinking of it. We don't want to be that linear model that just goes, you know what, we've just won another 100 customers or 1,000 customers. We need to be that. So, we're definitely adopting. We're eating what we're selling basically in terms of our own business around AI.
Yeah, I think that is my bigger fear as I'm starting a recruiting company is not that AI is going to replace recruiting, but that companies won't need as many people. And I have a pretty probably common take about AI sourcing. I just talked about it on LinkedIn today. The sourcing is all about data. You need people's data and you need it to be up to date. And LinkedIn has all that data. And LinkedIn is so tight with their data. They do not allow companies to scrape it up. And companies that do get banned from the platform. I'm using Apollo. You've probably heard of Apollo. It's a
Mm-hmm.
sales platform. Their current company page does not exist on LinkedIn because they were scraping data and LinkedIn catches them and they banned them. And so Apollo's plugin, their Google Chrome plugin that I use quite a bit to pull data and then set up automation channels, is completely broken. It's unusable, and LinkedIn just did it with the press of a button. And the LinkedIn Recruiter product, which is 65% of LinkedIn's revenue, hasn't changed in 10 years. Like, can you name a single product that hasn't changed in 10 years outside of,
Really?
maybe a hammer?
Wow. Yeah, yeah,
10
yeah.
years.
Not in technology anyway. I've not heard that in technology. It's
It hasn't
but
changed in 10 years. They've added an AI search thing and it's completely unusable. And LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft, and Microsoft is the largest investor in OpenAI. So they could have this incredible AI recruiting tool if they wanted to. But
yeah,
all the licenses that there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of recruiters, thousands of recruiters at staffing companies that cost 8,000 a year to per license. If they make recruiting more efficient, they're going to have less revenue. And so as long
yeah.
as the
Eh, Look, I don't think I don't think you need to worry around that. I think the volume of numbers that's fair call, right? But I also think that if people are thinking, oh, robots or AI is going to. I think roles will change.
yeah,
I think there'll be you'll be recruiting for roles now that you're like 3 years ago. It's not even a thing, right? Um, you'll be recruiting for roles, and the other part is that you're recruiting for people, particularly if these people know how to use ChatGPT. Agentic is a huge, right? AI agents. I think Salesforce is big, but people who know how to use those, be able to use those things or create those things to create efficiencies and take it to a business and go, hey, you know what? They're the people who will be, you'll still need you'll still need people, but that skill set, in my opinion, it will evolve and change to at least being AI, parts of it being AI orientated.
I think there's going to be just more companies too. I think more people are going to realize that they can accomplish a lot as an entrepreneur because of what AI brings them. And so you might have companies hiring a bit less volume, but you're going to have more companies. And so the amount of people
Yeah.
working likely in high skilled workplaces is not going to change much. But who knows? We both, you could be wrong, we could be right. There's
The
just,
crystal ball, right? It's
yeah,
guessing, but it's but the thing is, I think if you're ignoring it, you're gonna be digging yourself and hiding in a hole.
yeah,
And it'll catch up at some point. But those that are aware of it, I think it's just being aware of it, right? Being aware of the changes, being aware. I mean, I don't know about you, White, but I use ChatGPT on a daily basis. I
yeah,
don't go to Google anymore.
yeah.
The term used to be I Google it. Now I just ChatGPT it because it just gives it to me on a silver platter. It's so easy, right? It's even to change, a Word doc to a text file or whatever. It just outlines it all. So anyway,
It,
that's that's just modern technology, right?
it infuriates me when I ask my wife to look something up and she uses Google. Just like put it in ChatGPT. Because you always want to
I
ask a
know.
follow up. You want to ask a follow up to whatever the search was, and you can't do that. And
Well,
you could use
Google
Gemini.
Google are doing it. Then they know people are using turning to ChatGPT. So Google has their own little ChatGPT or AI Gen AI configuration within there, which, for what it's worth, they're doing a good job of it. But I still like the way ChatGPT just lays it out and just a menu. It just step by step, one, two, three. It knows what you want, and it just gives you what you need to do, and it's done.
The Google search result is the Gemini result. So your first result will be somewhat similar to GPT, but then they don't give you an option to follow up with another question, which I think is a huge error in their
Yeah.
product development because people want to ask follow ups to queries. There's very
Well,
rarely do you.
it's like ChatGPT. It actually asks, is this right? And do you want to refine this? And you're right. Right. It knows and it converses and it gets you to at least nailing down, solving whatever why you're conversing with it. You're right, and there are limitations, and maybe this Google will wake up and smell the cheese. They'll
Yeah,
they'll have some follow up questions and iterations to it. It's yeah, they're Google. They know what they're doing.
wake up and smell the cheese is fantastic. Is that awesome?
I think that's an Aussie term. I was going to throw a whole bunch of them in, but why? But then I thought, you know what? I'm going to confuse your listeners, and they're like, "What's this Aussie guy talking about smelling cheese?" When
You've
they've
thrown a
woken
few
up.
in. You've thrown a few in. I've noticed, but that's the first one I couldn't hold back calling out.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
Just a few questions to wrap up here. Prediction on your end about the e-commerce trajectory and future in the next 5 years, and then maybe that's all that's worthwhile predicting. But if you think worthwhile 10.
Yeah, so I think at least the next 2 years, what we're building, AI shopping assistants, and business will do it in their own way. I mean, they're already using AI. That'll be, I believe, in the next 2 years, that'll be mainstream. If you're a retailer and you're not adopting something like this, you're going to be left behind, one way or the other. That's probably the next couple of years, from now to the next couple of years. Then I think beyond that, that vision that I was telling you about, AI agents, AI shopping assistants talking to AI agents within. I mean, I think that's probably a 5 year thing away, right? It might be sooner, but that might be years 2 to 5, and I think that'll be mainstream. What happens after five? Why? I don't know if it's going to be spaceships that it's going to, drop ship some drone that does it. Who knows, right? Um, but from an e-commerce perspective, I mean, from an in-store people talk about all these things. I don't know how that world will move to the pace where the online is, but I know online shopping, e-commerce, there's going to be rapid transformation, and it'll just be there'll be a world. Maybe this is 10 years from now, right? Maybe 5 to 10. There'll be a world where you don't even need a website, right? You don't need the website as you currently see it. Go to Nordstrom, go to Levi's, go to, I don't know, JC, whatever. You will not see that as a website. It'll be driven by some sort of format where it knows who you are, what you want, what your shopping habits are, and it'll just dish you up. And you might have to prompt it looking for perfume or whatever, but it'll just give you that format and it'll just be AI driven to the point where, you want flowers, whatever it is, right? And that's all you're seeing on the page. There is no home page, there's no landing page, there's no whatever page. And it could just be like Prezi driven technology that just serves you up on whatever it is. That there will be a future where that is what e-commerce looks like. And anybody can have a website. You don't have to spend tons and tons of money. I don't know how Shopify's of the world will adapt to that, but that could be a possibility in the future.
One of the most effective advertising models is definitely Facebook's and Instagram's. Every time I go on Instagram, I want to buy something. If I was to click on the ad and it brought me to their website, and that website worked with Preezie, and Meta would share the data with Preezie of that customer or some type of technology provider similar, like that seems like the most seamless workflow or the most seamless process. But you have to share all of that data, and you have to get.
You do. You have to share it. You have to get the partnership. I mean, our widget doesn't have to run on the website. It can just be tracked. So we've got brands that are driving Instagram ads through the AI shopping assistant. And it just triggers the widget. You don't actually have to be on the website, but it drives it to the website that powers our AI shopping system,
Yeah,
and then it's just conversation from there. Depending on you're buying shoes, dress,
yeah, just ask a few
t-shirt, whatever,
questions.
right? But people already do. But you're right. Social media platforms, right? Being able to do that, if you can dovetail in, I mean, it knows what you're scrolling on, right? It knows what you like. So how you can dovetail it, I mean, you're right. They're all possibilities for the future.
How difficult is it being an Australian in America with the current 58 cent to a dollar exchange rate?
Um, Fortunately for me, why I get paid in American dollars, so it's American dollars. If I don't need to send that back to Australia, which I don't, then it's happy days. So but then it flips and roundabouts, and when the dollar gets strong again, I can wait for those time shifts. I can wait for those time shifts, but yeah, it's an interesting time of the year, no doubt about it.
Your funders are looking at the balance sheet. How did Quoc get a 20% raise?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's right. That's right.
A dollar shopping over there, buying anything over there felt so good as an American. It's that can't feel great when your founder came over and it's like, what in the world? Everything shows up on your card,
Yeah.
40% more. Oof. Any other philosophy lessons that you'd like to share?
No, I think we've covered a lot. I just really appreciate that you allowed me to join your podcast, Wyatt. So, no, really entertaining conversation, and I enjoyed it, and hopefully, you and your listeners enjoy it.
Absolutely. I feel like we peaked. This is why I named the podcast Peaking. Where can people find you? Where can people find more about Preezie?
Yeah, so our website is just www.preezie.com, Preezie. So I'm going to pronounce it the American way, ZIE.com. And then you can just find me on LinkedIn as well. So, just Quoc Nguyen. Obviously, there's a lot of new ones around. And I think there's actually a lot of Quoc Nguyen's. But if you find Preezie, Quoc Nguyen, co-founder, it's me.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, Wyatt. Have a good one. Cheers.